welcome to Ad America, the U.S. Embassy's American Center, with me, Andrea, as your e-guide for today. Today we will be learning more about visual storytelling, where creativity and design come together to communicate powerful messages in Think Design Visual Storytelling Bootcamp Talk Show. But before we start our event for today, I have a little trivia question for you to answer. What is the primary purpose of visual storytelling? Is it A, to provide detailed information through written text, B, to capture the attention of audience quickly and effectively, C, to offer in-depth analysis of complex topics, or D, to showcase the technical skills of the creator? If you think you know the answer, you can submit your answer to our social media platforms, and the first person who is able to answer correctly will be receiving a shout out later in the very end of the event. So now I would like to introduce you to our speakers for today. First, we have Radi Ibrahim, Assistant Director of Admission from SCAD. We also have Brendan Ferdian Sutiono, current student at SCAD. And our moderator for today, we have Caroline Darmanto, Advisor at EducationUSA and at America. So please now welcome Caroline Darmanto.
Thank you, Andrea. Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in at America's event. My name is Caroline, one of the Education USA advisors here at America. So before we start the event, I would like to tell you a brief information of what Education USA is and why we're here and how we're going to help you. So Education USA is a network under the U.S. Department of State, and we're here, not here only, but we're available in over 170 countries all over the world. One of the centers are here at America, and what we're doing differently compared to other centers is that we provide you with events, free events that you can tune in online or in person and come to America to talk to any of the advisors. So what we can do is a lot of things. So we have the 5 steps. The first step is that we help you in, guiding you to do the research on how to choose the right college for you. And then the second step would be financing your studies. So we'll brief you on the information about scholarships, whether it's from the government, such as LPDP, Fulbright, BIM, or from the school itself. And then the third step is completing the application. So we're going to help you with the guidance on how to fill in the Common App, on how to write the essay, on how to write a good CV or resume, or what are the differences between the CV and the essay or the resume, and how you can highlight your profile so that the school will take more interest in you. And then once the application is done and you have the letter of acceptance, we'll move on to the 4th step, which is the US visa. So just like 2 days ago, we had an information session about US visa, specifically on the student US visa. You can ask us anything. We won't be helping you in terms of applying, or there's no special treatment if you come to us, but we can give you the information and what you need to know and what are the documents that you need before you apply for the US visa. And then last but not least, we have the pre-departure orientation. So basically, once you have your visa and you're ready to go, we'll make sure that you have all the right information before you leave, how to choose the house, how to adapt to the US culture, how to adapt to the US classroom culture, everything that you need to know before you go. In fact, we're going to have the PDO next month on July 20th. So stay tuned, follow our Instagram, at America's Instagram, and Education USA Instagram for more information on that. So without further ado, we're going to have a great presentation from Radi Ibrahim from SCAD. She's going to talk about US curriculum system and art schools in the US in general. And then we're going to have Brandon here, who will talk more about his experiences so far at the college and preparing for college. So Radi, the stage is yours.
Hello, thank you so much, Caroline, and thank you especially to Ad America for welcoming us today. My name is Radi Ibrahim. I'm the Assistant Director of Admission at Savannah College of Art and Design, and it is such a pleasure to be here and speak to you about studying art in America and what it means for students and how you can totally maximize your skills and take advantage of being in pretty much the home of Hollywood and everything else in between. So as a Southeast Asian person myself, I grew up enjoying art, consuming it. And I'm pretty sure one of the earliest things that we do in life is we draw. We pick up crayons and pretty much create whatever it is that is in our mind. So today I'm going to show you a little bit of what that might look like if you do try to venture into that professionally and academically in America. So I am just going to share a little portion of my screen with you with this small presentation. So what does it mean to study art? as you know, today, as we are combined with a lot of different information that is available online, access to art and education for art has skyrocketed since the early 2000s. We're no longer in the climate where we used to be, but there is a complete difference of wanting to do art as a hobby and wanting to go into it as a career. So personally, and especially as my experience in admission and also creatively, there is a 100% difference between self-learning and actually joining a program and learning from the professionals in the industry themselves. So you can do that pretty much anywhere, from online, of course, maybe even at home in Indonesia. But in America, there's a really unique part of it that you really can't get anywhere else. So as the home of pretty much everything entertainment, there's probably 100, or if not even 100, a minimum 100, and almost any type of degree program out there. Because America is pretty much the birthplace of a lot of different types of entertainment systems out there, it also has one of the oldest, or some of the oldest programs that you can imagine. So these programs, especially at our university and other universities as well, are actually geared differently towards one another. So even within America in itself, all different institutions have their different specialties. So if you're looking into what you're going to study or where you're going to study in America, it also provides an opportunity to learn more about yourself, your learning style as well, and what you want from that education. So what you see on the screen right now is just a list of some of the programs that we have here at Savannah College of Art and Design, and there's going to be even more different types of programs at different universities as well. There are going to be universities where the programs are insanely rigorous, very project driven, and there are going to be universities that are going to be a little bit more flexible, where you can build your curriculum. So the US education system for art is actually very unique in a way where it's still holistic. If you study art maybe in the UK or maybe in Europe, they're going to be a lot more strict and a lot more rigid with what you can do in the curriculum. In America, however, even though you're studying art and design, you're still going to have to take economics classes. You're still going to have to take those math and science classes, because the US education system focuses on making you grow as a whole. So not just focusing on that art and design aspect, but also making sure that you know the scientific sort of like methods behind, for example, color theory. Or if you're working in animation, you're going to have to learn physics to know how exactly somebody's arm or clothes are going to move with the movement, how light is going to look when it's reflected on different surfaces. So that's why it sort of gives you an opportunity to really explore outside of your comfort zone and apply that to your skills too. Now, most of the art and design programs, especially for the bachelor's degree, will last for 4 years. And believe it or not, some of these art and design programs are also considered STEM programs. Now, traditionally, STEM, of course, stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. You would be surprised. Some art universities will even have STEM programs within their curriculum. So on the screen itself, if you guys want to take a gander, maybe guess which one of these programs are STEM, you might not realize it, but even programs like fashion marketing, animation, advertising, those count as STEM. And if you study STEM programs in America, it will actually give you an opportunity and a chance to extend your working visa after you graduate. Now, if you have any questions about that, Miss Caroline and the whole At America team has all the information that you would need, so do check them out at Pacific Place whenever you do have those questions. But what's the environment like if you're studying art in America? Well, if you do come over here, there's going to be a lot more hands-on opportunities and facilities that are going to complete your education inside and out. And it's never really just going to be a moment where you're sitting in the classroom working on homework. Every single thing that you're creating during this program is going to be something that is portfolio worthy or going to enhance your skills so that by the time you're in those major classes, you will be making something that is portfolio worthy. Now, there's a lot of different things that you can do while you're a college student. And as mentioned before, most of the things that you're going to experience in colleges in America are outside of the classroom, because what really matters when it comes to gaining that experience and getting your foot through the door is actually those experiences, networking, learning about not just the technical skills that you need for the job, but also how to work in a team and how to collaborate. Now, there are even some universities that have pre-college programs, like summer programs, that you can even join while you're in high school just to get a feel of what that education is going to be like. And then after high school, you're going to have the opportunity to apply for their bachelor's degrees. Now, there's different types of bachelor's degrees. There are bachelors of arts, bachelors of fine arts. It's all up to the student's own preferences, which they plan to go to. But one other unique aspect of being in America and studying art in America is all the external events that the university has. So as mentioned before, what's really important is the connections you make and the networking opportunities. In American universities, they will usually host large-scale events, which are not just for the students or for the professors. These events are usually also attended by the industry professionals as well. So you're not only going to be creating these artworks for your peers to look at, it's also for people from the industry to actually look, enjoy, and keep an eye on you as well. During these events that are hosted by these universities, that's where students can really showcase their skills and get noticed. So a few of our SCAD grads themselves actually got job opportunities straight from these projects and these events. And for example, we even had students from just last year in our animation program. We had Mr. Stanley Sawindoro, Amanda Jayapurna, who all came from Indonesia and actually directed their own original animated film. And they were shortlisted as one of the finalists for the Student Academy Award. So they actually got to walk on the red carpet, meet all their fellow directors and celebrities as well, and see their screen literally be filled with very, very much Indonesian culture. So that was their goal at Savannah College of Art and Design. They wanted to bring Indonesian culture to Hollywood, and they actually managed to do it. So when you're looking into all of these different universities, all of these different programs, think about exactly what you want to do in your future and your career. And look for a university or an institution that can bridge the gap between education and career seamlessly. So different universities do it in different ways. For our university at SCAD, we really try to make sure we let students meet professionals and learn directly from professionals. So as you know, a lot of the large events such as the Oscars, SIGGRAPH, all happen in the United States. So if you do study art in America, you will have the opportunity to even go to these events yourselves and experience it in person and live it in person as well. You know, gone are the days where you can only join through live streams. No more FOMO for you if you are in America. So that is, again, another benefit that you can join. And as Ms. Caroline has mentioned before, there are so many avenues and opportunities that you can leverage as a student in Indonesia to come to America. One of it is the LPTP scholarship or the Beasiswa Indonesia Maju. So all you would have to do is really try to look into all the different opportunities that are presented around you. So one of the unique things that I mentioned before was those job opportunities and networking opportunities. The majority of universities in America actually host specialized events within the university called career fairs. Now, these career fairs are directly attended by the recruiters of those companies, and they know exactly who they are going to recruit. So let's say you yourself are from an animation studio or you own one. Where better else is a place for you to recruit students than the actual universities themselves, where the students are already learning your production pipeline, know the type of vocabulary that you're going to use in your studio, and are using the same software you're using. So these career fairs are usually filled to the brim, and not just from art, design, or entertainment industries. Students who graduate from US universities studying art and design can actually apply their skills in multiple different industries. For example, we have had game design students actually hired by NASA, the CIA even. We have students who work in healthcare and students who work in automotive. In SCAD itself, students have gotten internships with Google, IBM, NASA. So the possibilities are really endless. Your job scope when you're studying art in America isn't just limited to the title of your bachelor's degree. In fact, employers don't really just look at the title. They're going to look at your portfolio and the work that you make. So you're never really limited in any way, shape, or form. So we even had students who were really passionate about sports, and we actually got them an opportunity to actually work on the 3D backgrounds for the FIFA World Cup in 2022 in Qatar. So that is, again, just one of the ways that you can really try to delve into the industry before you even graduate. All of these opportunities, all of these awards that I was mentioning were not from students who have graduated from SCAD. No, they were coming from students who were still studying, but still manage to receive that opportunity purely because geographically they're in the center of everything that is happening within entertainment and design. And beyond that, like I mentioned before, what you see on this image is actually a tech event called SIGGRAPH, where it's attended by Intel, Autodesk, Adobe. So there are universities who actually help students and bring them over to those events. For example, even though our university is in America, we have actually sent students, and they're still there, by the way, in France, because they're attending the Annecy Film Festival as animation students. So there they get to really experience, attend workshops and panels from prolific directors and producers and learn directly from the best of the best. So that access and availability honestly is something that I think universities in America can really offer, and something that any student, regardless of your age, can really leverage. Now, we actually wanted to bring a little bit of that to Indonesia as well, and that's why we've decided to collaborate with America to bring you a visual storytelling bootcamp. Now, this visual storytelling bootcamp is actually going to be taught by our wonderful professor, Professor Nguyen, who is actually a Fulbright scholar himself. So he is a prolific designer with more than 14 years of experience in not just design, but also marketing and business. And he has worked with multitudes of different clients within different industries as well. In this workshop, you'll actually learn how to capitalize your own style, find out what your own visual brand is, and figure out how you can use elements in visual design to actually tell a story and be able to release your message in a way that is intended for the audience to consume. So there's no limitation really to the type of art that you'd like to create. It really is applicable to a lot of different industries. So in this bootcamp, not only will you be learning more about yourself, but you'll be making a completely unique artwork based on the branding that you have found. So students who join this bootcamp are actually welcome to bring their own laptops or devices, whether it's a tablet or an iPad, whatever you're most comfortable creating art with. And then using those materials that you already have and using whatever artworks that you have already created, we can actually give you feedback on your portfolio based on our experiences in the industry and as creatives in America as well. This will also be a great opportunity to ask Professor Lin himself how he managed to actually score that Fulbright scholarship to America. So these are just one of the few things that you can do. And while it is only open to students in high school, we are more than happy to actually schedule meetings with the professor as well for any of you who are interested to learn more about art and design and visual storytelling outside of the workshop times. So if you would like to join us, please, I really encourage you to scan this QR code just to input your information so we can send you more information and details about the workshop. And even if you're not in high school, we can definitely schedule meeting times for you and the professor for some personal one-on-one feedback sessions as well. We will be at America from July 2nd to July 6th. But if you have any sort of free time, if you want to join us, just to have a peek and even look at the artworks that the students are using, we are more than happy to welcome you as well. But that's just a little bit of my spiel. I wouldn't want to take too much of your time. If you are curious about anything that I've shared before or would like to ask me any questions, on the screen are my contact details. So thank you so much for giving me the stage, Caroline.
Thank you so much, Radi. That was some great information, and I'm pretty sure a lot of questions will be asked right after. And everyone, Radi was, was promoting the event that we're gonna have in about 2 weeks, from July 2nd to July 6th. So please register for that. It's a great opportunity. I don't think it happens, very often. This is the first time that America and EducationUSA will host that as well. But before we move on to the discussion with Brandon and Radi, and before we move on to the question and answer, Brandon, do you mind introducing yourself?
All right, yeah. Sorry. Hey guys, so my name is Brandon. I'm currently a student in Savannah College of Art and Design as well. I'm a senior in a film and television major. I'm originally from Jakarta, Indonesia. And yeah, right now I'm still living in Savannah, Georgia, pursuing my bachelor's degree.
All right, Brandon, thank you. So tell us more about your studies. What is your major, and what do you do during your studies there?
There's a lot.
There's a lot.
There's a
Okay.
lot. There's a lot to do. So yeah, just like what I said, I'm majoring in film and television, focusing on producing and editing, which means that during my time learning at SCAD is that I got a chance to collaborate from people from around the world, like literally like from around the world. I have like a best friends from China, from Korea, Kenya, Peru, and many more other countries. And studying in SCAD is that it kind of like opens up an opportunity for me to focusing not only on filmmaking, because since we have like a requirement to take any like a foundation studies and general education, also made me realize that, oh, so art is actually big, it's wide. Like, you need to learn about also about businesses. There's also even like a businesses in arts. I also got a chance to learning how to create my portfolio and create my resume, and also not only on the filmmaking, I also learned how to make like a good design, like good painting. So basically, any majors in SCAD allows you to learn any different kind of aspects from the art industries in the world.
Okay. All right. So you mentioned filmmaking, right?
Yes.
Were you very much sure when you were in high school, or maybe since you were even, little, that that's what you want to do, or is that something that you discovered a little later?
Um, it's kind of tough questions actually, because the first time I realized that I'm I'm really into filmmaking was actually during my middle school.
Okay.
So I got a project from a teacher to edit a movie, and since that time I was fell in love with filmmaking, and then so disclaimer, I was part of the Indonesian national basketball team when I was in middle school,
Oh, nice.
and then
Okay.
I dropped out because since I really love filmmaking, so during high school I went to a film club, and since that time made me realize that, all right, maybe I was born to be a filmmaker.
Okay. What's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie of all time. Oh,
Yes.
tough questions.
You can
Another
you can
tough
mention a few.
questions.
That's okay. That's
Alright.
okay.
I'm gonna put a three top.
Okay.
Top.
Okay.
The first one is Minority Report from directed by Steven Spielberg,
Right. Right.
and then the second one. Ooh, all right. Second one is King Kong, directed by wait, what's the name? Peter Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third one, it's whoa. All right.
That's tough, huh?
Yeah. All right. Since I'm Indonesian, I'm gonna put some Indonesian movies.
All right. Cool.
It's called A Missing Home or Ngeri Ngeri Sedap. It was actually a movie like around 3 years ago or 2 years ago,
Okay.
directed by Benedion Rajaguguk.
Okay.
Yep.
I see some people are like, all right, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, they
It
recognize
was a
the
great movie, guys. It was a great movie.
All right. So okay, so the Ngeri Ngeri Sedap, that just happened 3 years ago,
Mhm.
right? But Minority Report, King Kong,
Mhm.
that was like an older,
Older
older
movie.
movies, right? Did any of these movies kind of motivate you, or maybe inspired you to be, or to confirm your, I guess your dream to become a filmmaker?
It's not actually about a movie, but it's surprisingly it's about the directors.
Oh, okay.
All right. So Steven Spielberg, which is the director for a Minority Report, he is my favorite all-time
Of course. of
film
course.
director and
Correct.
filmmaker. Because what I learned from his background is that honestly, like disclaimer, I came from like really bad grades at high school, and then he was also the same one actually with me.
Okay.
Yeah. Since that time, like his story made me realize that, all right, maybe if you get a bad grade from your high school, maybe if you pursue something that you really love, it will make you like become a better maybe in the future. So that's why, yeah.
Okay, okay. No, let's talk about high school for like a little bit, right? So you went to high school in Indonesia, right?
Yes, it is.
And when you went to college, did you go to SCAD directly, or did you go through a community college first, or?
No. So I went to community college in Seattle in
Okay.
Shoreline, and then after I received my associate degree in arts, I transferred to SCAD. Yeah.
Okay. How was the transfer process?
Transfer process. Oh, Roddy, I think you knew it, right? You knew the hassle, right, about that.
So Reddy can explain, Reddy, you can explain a little more about what a transfer process
Because
is.
Roddy
and-
was actually my advisor during
Oh,
transfer
okay.
degree. Yeah, during transferring to
Oh,
SCAD.
amazing. Okay. So Reddy, maybe you might want to take this one.
For sure. So that's also the beauty of studying in America, right? There's a couple different routes that you can go to into any university. So you can either go directly into a 4-year degree, or you can start like Brandon at a community college and then transfer to the university that you want. So the transfer process is usually pretty simple. All you need to do is start your application at that university and make sure that your transcripts are sent from your current university to your next one that you want to apply to. And what happens is both universities will look at what has been taught and what you've learned, as well as your grades. And then if everything matches well together, a lot of those credits that you earned in that previous university will then transfer to SCAD or to whichever university you plan to apply to. So SCAD has had quite a number of Indonesian students actually come from community colleges because of a few reasons as well. As you know, one of those reasons might be economically and monetarily. It is a better investment in the long run just to go through a community college first so that you get all of those general education classes out. But when it comes to those major specific classes, like those really intensive film classes or camera classes, those are very rarely able to transfer from community colleges, because community colleges are way more, they focus it on making sure that your foundations are secure and solid. But when it comes to something that's specifically directed to a degree, that's when coming into that second university is going to be extremely important.
Okay.
So the process was pretty seamless for Brandon.
Okay, that's good to hear.
I'm actually gonna add something to that. To add up is
Yeah,
that the main reason why a lot of people also went to community college is that they also some of them want to receive a high school diploma from the U.S. because most community college in America, especially in Washington State area, they offered us like a high school completion program, which you can take like a 6 months of high school in America, which all the credits, all the classes is going to be transferred on your college degree when you're enrolling in community college.
Right, right. So that's another option, right?
Yeah, another option.
Yeah. So I want to go back to like the transfer process a little bit. So Radi, so community college, that promises 2 years of community college and then 2 years of college degree, right? Combine them into 4 year of bachelor's degree. So you mentioned that the I guess the camera classes, the lighting, whatever, that's very specific to the classes at SCAD or any other universities. Does that still guarantee the 2+2, or does someone have to take maybe another foundation class or maybe a few extra credits to get that specific knowledge?
For sure. That is a really important question. And it's also really important to clarify that it differs from university to university. So for those very specific classes, it is very hard for us to constantly promise that it is going to be 2+2 unless that university does have a designated transfer pathway. Now, that's something that you can directly ask each university that you're applying to. You can say, hey, I'm planning to go to this community college. Do you have a transfer pathway with that 2-year college? Or can you tell me if you are in a transfer pathway with any 2-year colleges that I can look into? So the most important thing about going into transfer pathways is really getting all the information that you can. And I can't recommend directly asking the university enough. They do have individuals like me and people in the admission team that'll be more than happy to give you more accurate details to ensure that you're really putting the right investment at the right places.
All right, thank you. My next question is for Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been mentioning portfolio's, right?
Yeah.
Throughout the college degree or maybe getting into a college.
Mm-hmm.
Did you prepare any portfolio before you transferred to SCAD?
I did. So prior to SCAD, I actually won an award from SCTV Jakarta.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I won from a top 50 Indonesian short film festival.
Nice.
It was a short film that I made with my high school friends. Also, we won an award from the University of Multimedia Nusantara. And yeah, since that time, I was using that portfolio for applying to SCAD. But also, I built up some portfolio when I was in community college, because when I was in community college, I took like at least like 4 film classes, and luckily I got a chance to make like a small short films, because we had only like a small crews when I was in community college. Because since there's only a few film students, it kind of like made me grow up a little even more, because we got a chance to talk with the professors when I was in community college, and we decided to make like a short films by our own selves, and I was using that portfolio to transfer to SCAD, which is
Okay.
for applying the scholarship, right, Reddy? I would say that, yeah.
Oh, did you get the scholarship?
I got a scholarship, yeah.
Nice. Do you mind if I ask how many, maybe in percentage or maybe an amount of how many? I mean, how much?
Yeah, I got like around, kind of forgot, 3 times. No. Yeah, I got like around $12,000 for 4 years.
That's that is big. Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Good for you. Now, Reddy, I have to clarify something because this gentleman is amazing, right? He's won awards. He's been doing a lot of stuff. But what if someone has less experience than that? Is it still possible for them to apply for an art college?
100% yes. And that's precisely because it is an American education system. So the way it goes is every degree, regardless if it's an art degree or a non-art degree, will start with a foundation year or a general studies year. So even if the student has had experience, even if, for example, they come from a completely different background, they can still have a chance at applying to an art university and use their portfolio. Even if they don't have any prior experience in art, if you've taken photos, if you've done doodles, you have some element of an artist in you. It's just getting that foundation studies done, which you can do at the first year of college.
Okay, amazing. Brendan, do you want to add something to it? Maybe you want to motivate someone before
Yeah,
they
actually,
apply?
guys. So surprisingly, SCAD doesn't only require or see a transfer degree from a college in the USA, because I had a friend from Singapore. She went to Nanyang Academy of Fine Arts,
Right.
and surprisingly is that she got like around 45 credits transferred to SCAD.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, not only from a school in America, but also school like from around the world. But remember, it depends on the chair of your program in where the school that you're attending to.
Right, right. All right. Now, my next discussion question is debunking some myths, right? So, I guess in Southeast Asia, in Indonesia, up until a few years ago, people still have the stigma that, oh, you're going to an art school, you're going to study art. What are you going to do in the future? So that is still around for for some people. I mean, I went to an art school myself, and I went to a
That was
community
what happened
college
to
just
me,
like you.
guys.
So yeah. So I guess first things first, Radi, you mentioned about general education and how a student will have a solid foundation when they study in the U.S. But how how applicable is that when they go to the professional world? And how are you exactly going to prepare for that? And maybe Brandon, you can share in terms of like your studies so far. You've been taking lots of classes outside of filmmaking. How have you feel like has that prepared you for your professional later? Because I mean you're a senior now, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe either one of you who wants to take it first.
Okay. Maybe Ruddy, the alumni.
Sure. So as I was mentioning before, and this is what Brandon mentioned as well, art is something that is literally so wide and so widely applied as well. Every single piece that you consume, whether it's food, in your snacks, restaurants, everything is built by design. The clothes that we're wearing, the chairs that we're sitting on, the stage that you're on right now, everything has to be designed by somebody, and that somebody is a designer. So every single industry requires people like this, but you don't really think of things like that when you think of art, right? You might automatically default to paintings or graphic design or things like that, but everything is designed. It's not something that, for example, whenever I speak to parents who very visibly are like questioning, like, why should my child go into university for art when they could be a doctor, when they could be saving lives, for example? And as an artist myself, the only thing I could ask in return was, why should you, put the surgeon at such a high pedestal, but discount the individual that designed the scalpel for them to use? Or discount the people who designed that surgical room to ensure that every single life that goes in there has the same chance to come out healthier than ever. So everything is built by a village, and designers are a part of that village.
All right, thank you. Brandon?
Maybe from what I will say is that to convincing your parents to allow you to go to any art schools or any industry that you like is that through communication. I would say that through communication, because when I was in high school, is that my parents didn't allow me to take any kind of other majors other than computer science,
Oh, wow.
doctor. The closest thing to an art major is architecture.
Okay, okay.
The closest thing. But I did a lot of communications with my parents, and I showed them like when I was in high school, I was active in the film club and making some of the short films and winning an award. Yeah, so that opportunity kind of like opens up a new way of communication for me to my parents to say like, hey mom, I just won an award. Is it cool if I'm going to a film school to pursue my passion?
Okay. And after how long did your parents finally realize that, oh, okay, you know what, Brandon is good at this. Maybe he needs to do this.
It's kind of long enough, 4 years.
4 years.
4 years.
Okay.
Since I was in middle school.
Since you were in middle
Since
school.
I was in middle
Okay,
school.
so it takes patience too, right?
Yeah.
But that's the thing though, because that happens here a lot. You know, when I speak to parents, they're like, and then what are they gonna do if they want, if they go to an art school? And I'm like, and I always give an example, like we just built an airport like a few years ago, right?
Okay.
I mean, it's not, you don't just need an architect. You need a landscape designer. You need an artist. You need someone who will help you with the promotional materials, everything. And that's just one airport. And the fact is that Indonesia is building, lots of buildings, lots of entertainment, and just a lot of things. So I think it's the kind of realization, and maybe, thank you, Radhi, for mentioning that, and Brandon for, encouraging people and kids to communicate better with, with their parents. Now, the second part is that we're still talking about jobs here. Is it difficult to find jobs, or is it possible for students to have an experience working in the US after their studies? Radhi, you might want to take this first, and then maybe Brandon.
For sure. So it really does depend on, for example, the industry, the job climate. So I'm not going to beat around the bush. There's a lot of stuff going on in the creative industry right now with new technologies coming up and about. But at the very least, what I can say that if you do study in America, you do have authorization to work while you're studying for 12 months. So most SCAD students actually take the summers off to go for those internships or apprenticeships or job opportunities. So that is one of the ways that students can go about doing that. At the university specifically, each student has their own personal career advisor that they can take advantage of. And that career advisor may or may not be their sort of like link to the industry whenever there is a workshop or there is an event or there is somebody who is hiring coming to the university, then that will be their point of contact for them to find out about those opportunities. Aside from that, joining all of these internships and workshops really does depend on your capability and your portfolio as well. It is a very, very competitive world out there in art and design. We have about 2,000 plus animation students in SCAD alone, and all of them want to go and intern at Disney. Obviously, we have had quite a number of students who actually got internships at Disney this year. I believe right now we're counting 6 and going up to 7 of them. But that is, again, 6 out of 2,000. So I would encourage students to actually look at the non-typical job opportunities that are out there. For example, like I mentioned before, students who are working in healthcare, students who are working in sports industries, those are animation students as well. But you don't really notice all the opportunities that you have until you're surrounded by, like Brandon mentioned before, people from different backgrounds, people from different countries, and learning about how industries work where they're from as well. So it really depends on what's happening in the industry right now, and if students can really able to capitalize on the fact that they are at the cusp of all of these new things and being adaptable.
All right. So Brandon.
All right. So the unique thing about SCAD is that we have a career advisor for each of the students, and these people was appointed by SCAD to help you to build up your resume, your portfolio, or basically rebranding yourself to like showing to the company like, oh, right, okay, so I'm an artist in this industry. Like, what kind of requirements or like portfolio or how to build up my resume in order for applying to the schools? Applying to the jobs. And what I know is that a lot of my friends, especially basically I'm a graduate, so I don't know a lot about career opportunities in the U.S. But but from some of my friends that graduated, for example, Roddy has mentioned Stanley Sundoro, which is an animation alumni. Right now, he worked in EA Sports.
Yep.
For like developing some games. Also, one of my there's also two of my best friends just graduated this year, and they got a job in Google headquarters in New York, and a
Nice.
motion media designer, and all of them are Indonesians as well. Remember, guys. And also some of my friends, they got a job in for example, in Savannah, Georgia, there's a big industry of private jet, which is what is the name again, Roddy?
It's Gulfstream.
Yeah, Gulfstream. And even one of our buildings was named and sponsored by the Gulfstream. So a lot of people like from industrial design major or like any kind of like a tech major in SCAD, they got a job in the Gulfstream. And even some of them got deployed in like Saudi Arabia, South Korea, Japan,
Cool.
basically many other countries. Yeah.
Okay. And now my question is for you. Are you thinking of taking an OPT after graduation?
Yes, I'm thinking of taking a OPT.
Okay, cool. Ready? Maybe a lot of people don't really understand what an OPT is. You might want to explain that a little bit?
For sure. So OPT is essentially the type of working visa that you will get upon graduating from a U.S. university. So most students, if they study any sort of type of degree, they will receive 12 months of work authorization or 12 months of OPT. But as mentioned before, if you study a STEM program, you can actually extend from 12 months to a total of 3 years. So instead of just 1 year, you can extend it for 2 more years to make sure you really get to optimize your time in America. And that's also a really huge selling point as well. As a designer or as an artist coming from an art school, being able to tell employers like, hey, you don't have to worry about sponsoring my visa because at SCAD or at my university, this degree is a STEM degree. So I can work for you for 3 years and you don't have to worry about it. Yeah. So a lot of the times when students are applying for jobs, or not even students, even international individuals who are maybe, looking out for those work from home opportunities, there might be like one section of the job application that will say, will we need to sponsor you for a visa? And you have to either click yes or no. Just clicking yes might even bar some people from even moving forward in their job application. So having that OPT, whether it's 12 months or even 36 months, will definitely give students an edge as well with getting through to those opportunities that lie after graduation.
Okay, perfect. And is it a requirement for students to do an internship for their graduation?
So at our university, we do have opportunities for students to do so, not only just outside of the university, but also on ground as well within the curriculum. So Brendan, I'm not sure if you have actually participated in a SCAD Pro, but I would like to introduce that program as well. So students have the option to, like I mentioned before, spend their summers and then leave Savannah, Georgia, or leave the premises of their university to go for an internship off ground, whether it's at the studio or at the company in their headquarters. In our university, companies, and these are Fortune 100 and Fortune 500 companies, actually come to SCAD to hire students on ground. So we have had companies who, for example, students have worked with BMW, and students have also, like I mentioned before, worked with NASA, with Google, Lenovo. And I would call it an internship, but slightly better. Because in internships, you are the intern. You're sort of like the entry-level person, and you may or may not be doing some more smaller level, sort of like low-risk roles. In these opportunities where the companies are coming to the university, you'll be there as a fellow designer. So for our university, the people who come from BMW aren't just people who are the recruiters. Students are working with engineers that have flown to the university from Munich, Germany, and from their headquarters in California as well. And students have even worked on Uber Elevate, which is, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, because Grab is the biggest thing, of course, in Southeast Asia. But Uber has released Uber Elevate where people can book helicopters now. So that's actually like way above my pay grade to use, but students were a really big part of building that ecosystem, from the design of the helicopters, the design of the waiting rooms, to even the details of the fibers on the helicopter seats. all done by our students in 10 weeks. And we actually brought them to the Uber headquarters in Silicon Valley for them to present it themselves in front of the board of directors. So out of the 750 projects we've done so far, more than 275 students got job offers on the spot even before they graduated. So when it comes to receiving job opportunities, like I mentioned before, it's less of, really focusing just on your grades and just on homework. It's really the projects that you get to do and the interactions and connections that you make while you're there studying.
All right, perfect. Brendan, are you thinking of taking an internship before you graduate, or is it possible for you?
Yes. So actually, I would like to add up about frequently asked questions. Like, what is like the most popular major with among of Indonesians in SCAD? Is that yeah? So basically, the most popular major for Indonesian is actually animation.
Okay.
Which is if you're going to like we have this building called Montgomery Hall, and you go to the animation section, you will see like you will hear like a lot of Indonesian words going on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, since there's a lot of Indonesian in animation, which is weird because in the film program, I am the only Indonesians right now. I am the only Indonesians. But a fun fact about a film program in SCAD is that right now we are building up a backlot, which is like a really big land that consists of a different city, different fake cities for you to make a movie. Right now we have a set for Savannah, Georgia. We also have a set for London, England. We also have a set for New York City. We also have an XR stage, which is maybe all the film students will know it, which is like a green screen, but you don't need to edit it again. So so basically like a big screen.
Is it like a new technology?
Yeah, like a new technology. And another fun fact is that there's a lot of big companies such as like a Saudi Columbia Pictures, Universal, and Warner Brothers even go to SCAD to film in the backlot and the XR stage. So also, since the professors are also from the industry of the filmmaking, even my professor, she is the sound designer for Life of Pi, and she holds an Academy Awards. All of the professors in SCAD will open up and build a connections between all the students with the professional industry.
Okay, cool. I think that's worth mentioning as well, right? Because maybe for other conventional majors, professors can be just academics, right? But for art specifically, it has to be very hands-on. The professors need to know what's going on, the newest technology, the newest trend, and everything. So I think having people from the industry working and teaching at the same time, I think that's just much, way better, because then you have the network as well. All right, so now we're gonna open the session to the Q&A sessions. We're gonna take some questions from our audience online as well. So I'm gonna read them through my phone, and then we're gonna ask a few questions from the audience here online. If you have any questions, raise your hands. One of our crew members will hand you the microphone, so Roddy will be able to hear you, and then you can ask your questions and introduce yourself before you ask the questions. Right. So I'm gonna read one question from the audience online. The question is, I think it's for both of you. Is mastering the technology such as certain software or utilizing equipment a requirement to apply? Roddy, you might want to take this one first.
For sure. It really depends if you're applying for the bachelor's degree or the master's degree. So as mentioned before, if you want to start fresh, like completely new, you're just interested in the industry but may not know what or which part of the industry, then perfectly fine for you to go into a bachelor's degree even without prior experience. You might not get as high scholarships as, for example, Brandon or any other student that submitted their portfolio because they have that skill and ability prior, but it shouldn't stop you from trying to apply to get accepted, especially at a university like ours where portfolios are an add-on to your application. It's not required for you to apply. But if you're going into a graduate degree, for example, a Master's of Arts or a Master of Fine Arts, you will be expected to know at least a little bit of a mastery within those specific softwares that are used in the industry. And that's because students who go into the Master of Arts are usually those who are already professionals within the industry, wanting to learn, the most updated technology and the most updated skills to upskill themselves. Or students who are studying the Masters of Fine Arts are going to be individuals who are professionals but want to go into teaching and sort of like spreading their knowledge through formal teaching, whether it's in a university or in school.
Okay, Brandon, what about your experience?
What was the question again? Sorry. Sorry.
Is it a requirement for you to master an equipment or a software?
All right. I would say yes, because right now in the U.S. for all the education system, basically not in the U.S. in the world, is that we are connected through technology.
Mm-hmm.
The main like a software or knowledge about technology is that I will encourage everyone to learn and masterize is that about Microsoft, like a Microsoft Office and like a Word, Excel, PowerPoint. You don't need to memorize all the formulas like in a Microsoft Excel. It's just that you need to at least know about the foundation of that stuff.
You need to understand how to use the softwares. Mm-hmm. Okay. The other question that I have is how could Indonesian students culturally adjust in SCAD? Maybe it's for Brandon first, and maybe Radi, you can take this also because you came from Malaysia, right? Quite a similar culture. Okay. All right, Brandon.
To adjust with the culture, which is kind of hard because we don't have a lot of good Asian foods, honestly, guys, in Savannah.
Oh, really?
Not gonna lie. We don't have a lot of good Asian foods.
They do have Chinese food at least, right?
We have a Chinese food, but it's just like a Chinese takeout food, which is a typical New York American.
Okay. Not like legit Asian. Okay.
All right. But I would say is that another fun fact is that I am part of the Permias Nacional in America, and maybe I would say to adjust with the culture of the U.S. is that before you go to the city, before you go to the school, for example, me in Savannah, maybe try to contact some people from the Permias Nacional and ask them like, hey, do you have any students in SCAD that maybe can help us with about picking up at the airport and then how to finding some housing accommodations. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would say if you don't have someone or friends that lives in the city, try to contact someone that you can rely on. For example, we have a Permias Nacional, which consists of 50 members, and all of us, we are here to help all the Indonesian students who feels like a culture shock, who experience like, oh, I'm missing my parents at home. Yeah, you can just contact us, and we will happily help you to adjust with the Indonesian communities in every city in the U.S.
So if they say, I miss lontong sayur, will you cook for them?
Maybe.
If someone's able to cook, okay. All right, Radi, do you want to answer this one too?
For sure. So I was born and raised in Malaysia. Never even thought I would be going to America, let alone Savannah, Georgia. My only information about America was what I saw on like Teen Wolf or like 90210. I don't know if anybody from your generation would know these shows anymore. But I came with the image of like, oh, it's going to be exactly like California because that's what I'm used to. And I arrived in Savannah, and Brandon, you would know this, it's nothing like California. So I'm like, wow, this is America. But thankfully, we're in sort of like the southern part of America, which is known for their southern hospitality. And what shocked me the most was that
and the seafood. Nice. Don't forget to mention that. And the seafood.
So they have good food.
Oh,
really good seafood.
Okay.
They have good seafood, yes, especially in the South. And then people would literally just say, hi, how are you? How's your day going? Without even knowing who you are, without asking your name. And coming from Malaysia, if I tried to do that with people from home, they would just be like, okay, what do you want from me? So I think one of the things that really helped me, and fun fact, I was the only Malaysian person in SCAD at that time. And there was nobody in my grade that was from Malaysia. So I was like, oh, man.
Even right now, Roddy, there's no Malaysian at all. It's SCAD, right?
There actually, as a matter of fact, there are quite a few. And I actually recruited them.
Thanks to you, Roddy. Thanks. That's because you're doing your job right.
Just spreading the word. But there are sort of like pockets of culture. For example, in Savannah, it's pretty much an old historic town. So you'll be walking the same streets that pirates used to walk on. And everything is preserved from like way back in like the 1600s. So it really feels like you're sort of like in the peaceful, calm movie sort of like environment. But in the Atlanta campus, which is where I'm staying right now, there's such a huge and vibrant Asian community. Brandon, you have to come over sometime. My favorite restaurant is called Warung, and it has the best Indonesian food ever. Like
wait,
it
they have
feels like
Indonesian
I'm
food?
back to
Yeah, they
Jakarta.
have Indonesian food
Oh,
in
yeah.
in Atlanta.
Okay,
In Atlanta, yeah.
nice.
So it really depends on a student's preference for sure. So I would, like Brandon said, really advise for students to look at where your communities are. But if you aren't afraid to really just experiment, experience something you've never experienced before, be like me and just try to take a leap of faith and see where that will get you.
All right. I really like the fact that you mentioned about Southern hospitality because a lot of people
Yeah.
they tend to choose the West Coast or the East Coast because it's more familiar. Like you mentioned,
Yes.
Yeah.
it's everything that we see in Hollywood movies, right? But what they're missing is that people in the South, they're actually very friendly, very nice because they're usually surrounded by their family, so they know how to treat people as their family even if they don't know each other. So thank you for mentioning
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Also, I would
sure.
like
If
to
I
say
can
that
add-
when I transferred from Seattle to Savannah for the first time, I also went to like a different world.
Oh, really?
When the first time, because the first time I came to Savannah, honestly, I felt like it was not in America. I felt like it
Okay.
was in Spain because I mean, like the buildings, it's too historic, and it also giving me like a European vibes when I was in Savannah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And how far is Savannah from Atlanta?
I would say 3 hours
It's about-
drive. You're right, 3 hours
Yes,
drive.
a 3 hours drive. Yep.
Okay. Okay. So that's not too bad.
But
so
beware of the Georgia State Police, guys. Beware of that.
okay. All right. Okay. So we're gonna take one or two questions from the audience here first before we go back to the audience online. Anyone here want to ask anything? All right. Go ahead, gentleman with the white shirt.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I really appreciate we have these sessions because I personally think in Indonesia we've been just appreciating art like these couple of years. But anyways, what I want to ask, so you were talking about the OPT. So I want to know, like, what kind of, or is there any special arrangement if we're applying to SCAD through LPDP? Since LPDP is quite strict with their rule, especially with the time that they're giving to us. I want to know if we're actually interested to the LPT. Is there any possibilities, or just special arrangement to some of us?
All right, Roddy, this is for
I-
you.
Maybe before
I
Roddy
think
answer the
that's a-
questions, I would
Okay,
like to
Brandon,
ask,
yeah.
is LBDP considered as a J1 visa or F1
That's a
visa?
J1.
It's a J1
It's a
visa. All right.
J1.
All right, Roddy, stage is yours.
All right, for sure. So I think that's something that would really need to be discussed with LPDP because I'm aware that they do have really strict restrictions on making sure that all of their awardees do come back to Indonesia. But I honestly am not opposed to even meeting with some officers from LPDP as well if I can give sort of like insight to how important getting experience is before coming back and serving the country. So we have had scholars, for example, from Malaysia who do that as well, where they are sponsored by the Malaysian government, come to the US, and then make full use of their OPT before they come back to serve their country. So, but again, that is a completely different government, a completely different, sort of like scholarship and award that is given. For LPDP, SCAD has only really begun to receive LPDP students this year. So if you want, let's keep in touch and see how it goes for our awardees this year.
Okay. Do you have any follow-up questions on that?
Oh, so probably actually part of the program actually about the internship. You said that we can leave for the summer program, right?
Yes.
So I was
summer
wondering.
is not required.
Yeah. That's why, like I said, LPV is very strict. We need to be finished in time, within the timeline that we already agreed with them, and they're very strict about it. And there are a few cases where they they take away the scholarship just because we're going off the timeline. So I want to know if that part is actually negotiable as well.
So I
Well,
think
at
I'll take it a little
Yeah.
bit from here. So what you need to do is
Yeah.
you need to speak with the LPDP officers, making sure that if it is a requirement, will they have the leniency on that? Because it might happen that that happened before. So it's a matter of you communicating with LPDP, and then you communicate with Radio or with SCAD or with any universities you're a part of, to make sure that everyone is aligned with your goal in graduating. So I think first things first, you need to communicate with LPDP. Yeah.
Yep, because they are the people that are awarding you. But I will also like to sort of like relieve the worry as well. For the SCAD, for example, master's degree, it is in the curriculum that you have to take an internship to graduate. You cannot graduate without it. So that's going to be already part of the degree. It's not going to extend your degree by any means at all. It's just within the 2 years that's allotted to you.
Yep. Good? Okay. All right. So, Brendan, did you want to add something?
Yeah, so actually, other than OPT, we also have a program called the CPT, which is the curricular practical training, which allows an international students to take an internship in America, especially during the summer break or maybe from summer to fall. Yeah, even some of my friends, they didn't enroll in the fall quarter because they want to build up some portfolio or some experience, like joining the CPT. Even I also have one of my friends. She's also Indonesian. I would say her name is Tiffany. So this Tiffany, she had an internship for Tesla since last summer until last fall quarter, and using the CPT program. So yeah, I would say studying in America kind of like opens up an opportunity for us to finding some internship from the big company in the world.
All right, that's amazing. Okay, one more question from the audience here. Anyone here want to ask anything? No, not yet. A little shy. Okay, so we'll take one from the audience online first. Let's see. Okay, so what elements should be included in a strong visual storytelling portfolio? Roddy, I think this one is for you first.
Yeah, that is an amazing question. And honestly, if you want to find out more, sign up for our workshop. But I'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek, okay? So when it comes to visual storytelling in of itself, what's really important is making sure that you are actually utilizing design principles in a way that fulfills whatever mission or whatever purpose of your design is going to be. For example, you're not going to be using the same design principles or the same techniques for a packaging, like a brand packaging of a product versus a comic strip, for example. So making sure that while you are, aware of certain design elements, that you're using it correctly depending on the type of artwork you're trying to create and the type of portfolio as well. So different portfolios will be required for different industries. If you are, for example, a sequential artist or a comic artist, your portfolio should not look like that of an animator. So making sure you know what your goals are, you know what you're applying towards, and really gearing and putting only your best of the best works in that. At the same time, showing a variety of work. And by variety, I mean showing that you're not scared to experiment and that you're able to adapt to whatever project that is required is also really important in a visual storytelling bootcamp. Portfolio. So making sure that your designs are utilizing those techniques well, that you're communicating the message that you're supposed to.
Brendan, do you want to add something based on what you know?
Yeah, so maybe I would say to build up a portfolio about official storytelling is that, remember guys, it's about storytelling, which is the main important thing. It's the story. Coming from a filmmaker, I would say that there's a quote from my professor who won an Academy Award and told me that an art without a story, without a perfect story, it's like a vehicle without an engine. I would say always bring up the story. And my recommendation is that always try to find a story from your own culture to share it to the world. For example, last quarter, I had a class which is the foundation of story, and I brought up about a culture from Padang Minangkabau, which is about a matrilineal system, and that's why the Ngeri Ngeri Sedap was my main one of my favorite movie because I got inspired for that for a story. And since that time, a lot of people from America really interested with story, and they even told me like, "Hey, Brennan, so actually, where is Indonesia? I'm really curious about the country. So, what kind of culture do you guys have? You said like you guys have like 800 different cultures. Yeah, I would say always bring up something from your own cultures and share it to the world.
And how often did you get that question? Where is Indonesia?
A lot of times, a lot of times they
Did you
don't
get the
even know
same
where is
question, Rodney?
Indonesia.
Did you get the same question? Yeah. All right.
100%, yeah.
Okay. So while we're still talking about portfolio, right? Another question that comes up is that how can we effectively present our visual stories? Anyone? Maybe Brandon or Reddy?
I would say from social media right now.
Social media?
From social media.
Okay.
And always don't forget to build up your LinkedIn before you go to America.
That's a good one.
For sure. Yeah.
That's a good one. Ready?
Yep. So the most important way to, again, present your portfolio is wherever is the most relevant for your industry. So right now, social media really is pretty much the place to be, but also be careful not to be drowned out and really try to present who you are, like Brandon was mentioning, your identity. That's what's going to set you apart. So there are multiple avenues for students to really showcase their portfolios. There are new social media specifically for artists even out there. But most importantly, if you are sharing your portfolio works online, glaze your portfolio work. Use ways for you to protect your portfolio from being used by other people, whether it's plagiarism or anything like that as well. So keep an eye out. Some people, especially within the industry or different industries, actually put passwords on their portfolio as well. So building your own website also is not a bad idea either. So it really does depend from individual, artist to artist, whatever that is most comfortable for you, that's going to be the one that works the best.
All right. Perfect. Now, this is my question for you, Reddy. How do you, do you review the portfolios or is there another team? You do?
I do.
Okay.
I am part of the portfolio review team.
Okay. So how do you evaluate this student's portfolio? I guess what sets them apart and what makes it a good portfolio? Is there a specific technique that you're looking at for a specific major or any other things that you consider?
For sure. So we have actually a very large portfolio review team in our university. So each person who does the reviews are specialists or artists in that specific type of industry as well. So my main areas are animation, specifically experimental animation and stop motion, but I also work on visual arts portfolios as well for young storytellers who are into storyboarding. What we look at, and there's a reason why I really hone in on principles every single time we're talking about portfolio pieces or presenting them, is seeing that the applicant understands the rules, and if they are breaking them, how to break those rules. So the only way that you can learn how to really delve into a unique style that is yours is understanding how those principles work and manipulating it in a way that really screams your style. So everything has to be intentional. So that's why knowing your design principles, really honing in on those fundamental skills is really important, because we can tell when students don't have or when applicants don't have that background. And second thing that we look at is also professionalism. This is something that is overlooked by a lot of applicants. So professionalism is pretty objective, right? It's how you arrange those elements of your portfolio on a PDF page, for example. We have had applicants who didn't even bother scanning their artworks. They literally just took photos of the art pieces from like the top down, and you can see their toes in the corner of those images. So as portfolio reviewers, we are required to review anything that is within that frame that is submitted, which means your toes become part of the artwork itself. So unless you want that to happen, please make sure that everything is uploaded correctly and that it is exactly the way you want it to be presented. And I think the largest chunk of what we look at in a portfolio is creativity and uniqueness. So we do want students to speak to us through their portfolios. So what's unique about, again, studying art and applying for an art program is that we're not just going to look at your grades. We're not just going to look at your essays. We want to know you in a way that grades and words are not able to communicate. So the portfolios that really stand out to us are portfolios from students who aren't afraid to really showcase themselves to the world, whether they share their thoughts, their emotions, their insecurities, their fears, their passion, those really do stick with us. And sometimes they even get, portfolio reviewers who relate to them on a humane level. Because that's something that our portfolios do that other university requirements can't fulfill.
Okay, so that actually answers my next question from the audience online. What are the basic requirements and what is the most important document? So is it safe to say that for anyone who is looking at applying to an art school, portfolio is probably the most crucial element of the application?
I would say yes as well.
Yeah?
I would say
Okay.
yes.
So I think you both agree on that. Okay, right. So we're going to take one question here from the audience. On site here, anyone? Don't be too shy. You don't meet Roddy that often. I mean, she will be coming here next, okay, I guess in 2 weeks. But you have the opportunity to ask her directly, and also to ask Brendan anything directly here. Anyone want to take a shot? No?
I don't bite, I swear.
Brandon,
Yeah, me
do
too.
you?
Me too. No.
Oh, okay.
Of course not.
Okay. So if there's no question here, we have one question from the audience online. Is that it's about the English proficiency test.
Oh, okay.
What's your requirement, or maybe what is the requirement for art colleges in general, and how important is it? Brandon, based on your experience first, maybe.
Based on my experience, okay. So basically, when the first time I came to the U.S., my English was disgusting, super disgusting, super
Really?
bad, super really bad. So I had. So here's the thing. I had a band 7 on IELTS. I got a band 7, but on my community college, they didn't accept it because my writing is only 5.5, which they needed as a 6.0.
Okay.
So I would say, yeah, an English proficiency test, it's a really important thing in the US, even though English is not the official language, but since it's the first national language, I would say, yeah, you need to masterize your English proficiency before going to the US. And luckily, when I transferred to SCAD, since I'm taking 2 English composition class in Seattle, English 101, right? And
right,
in
right.
Seattle colleges, yeah. That is like one of my main requirements to transfer to SCAD to pass the English proficiency test.
Okay. So you mentioned your writing was 5.5 and the college was asking for a 6.0. So what did you do to bridge the gap?
I took an ESL class, like
Okay, and how long?
like 2 ESL class. I would say like 2 quarters.
2 quarters.
So 2 ESL class, but there's also another 2 classes, which is college classes.
Oh, okay. So in total, it's about half a year.
Yeah, like a half a year, yeah.
Okay, got it. Roddy, what do you think?
Right. So the average minimum that I've seen so far across multiple universities, not just our universities either, is at least a 6.0. But at our university, it's a 6.5 in reading and writing. So what's really important, and this is something that is really applicable to all industries as well, English is the medium for you to communicate, not just in America, but in the world. So when you're studying in America, where you're meeting people from all of these different countries, and not only just your peers, you're going to be meeting stakeholders and employers and people from the industry. We want to make sure that you're fully prepared and that you have the verbiage and the vocabulary to really showcase yourself in the best way you can. So there are some universities that will still accept students even without the English as a second language proficiency, but like Brandon as well, they would have to take ESL classes and make sure that they're at the same level where they can fully understand the material and the curriculum before they move forward. So our university has that as well. And we even have, I think, some universities out there that specifically have like an English prep program. I know that's really popular among students, for example, from Japan or from Vietnam, who really don't have much opportunity to interact or learn English growing up. So they come to America, to these universities that have that English prep program.
And some universities in America also accepts like an English course if you're enrolled in like an international school, for example,
right.
like O level or A level, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah. So they can transfer the credits if
Yes.
they score well, of course. Right. So I think it's also worth knowing that it depends on the degree, right, Roddy? So maybe community college requires to a certain level, and then maybe for a bachelor's degree it will be different. Master's, of course, is going to be higher. Doctoral is going to be higher. So pay attention to that. Make sure that you check the school's website to know the details better. Um, so we have only about 10 minutes left. Anyone here want to ask any question? No? Right, I guess before we close the event, Roddy, you first. Any advice, any words for anyone who is looking at applying for an art college?
For sure. I would say really be brave and take that first step. It is really daunting and it might be nerve-wracking. You might not know where this journey will lead you, if it is going to lead you somewhere. But the most important thing is to try. You never know what one action could lead you. It could be a total butterfly effect and change your life. I never thought that I could be an artist, if I'm honest with you. I never saw that as a way for me to get where I am in life. But right now, I can confidently say that I am really happy where I am, that I get to not only inspire students, but inspire myself from day to day and add to the world in ways that no one else can but myself. So that's something that you can do too as an artist that most other jobs are not able to do. So just know that we're rooting for you wherever you are, and all the best.
All right. So Brandon, please inspire more Indonesian students to study art.
Okay, yeah. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to tell your parents, your families. Don't be afraid. And also, don't be afraid to submit any kind of your artwork, like including like a murals or like a graffiti in the streets. Because we people in America, especially in SCAD, we really appreciate any kind of hard work that you guys ever made in the world.
All right. Thank you. Everyone, as Brady has mentioned before, from July 2nd to July 6th, we're going to have a boot camp workshop for you guys, especially for high school students. If you guys are thinking of applying to an art school, it's not just going to apply for SCAD, but basically the knowledge that you're going to gain is applicable for basically anything, right? Ready? Please, not apply, sorry. Please register for the event. Ready will be able to meet you there. This is the QR code. Feel free to scan that. Maybe share that with your friends, your family members. And yeah, we hope to see you in about 2 weeks. We're more than excited to meet more artists, more Indonesian artists who will, collaborate with more and more people in the future. Thank you so much for coming. And I'm going to give the floor back to Andrea.
Okay, thank you so much, Caroline. Thank you so much, Brendan. And thank you so much, Roddy, for today's session. And thank you so much, everyone, for coming here today. Don't forget to register for our workshop in 2 weeks. And earlier in this event, I asked a little trivia question, which was, what is the primary purpose of visual storytelling? And the answer is B, to capture the attention of the audience quickly and effectively. Congratulations to Shaira Ardela from Instagram for answering the question correctly. And if you think today's event was fun, please check out our social media. We are on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at AT America. And please also consider subscribing to our YouTube channel and newsletter as well. And with that, we have reached the very end of today's session. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. And see you at the next At America event. Bye-bye.